Alright, so I got this 2023 Toyota Tacoma. I'm gonna be working on rock chip here, and over here. It's coming through okay. We're gonna wet sand those down so they kind of match a little better. And we got some scratches on here. We'll be taking off these decals on both sides, putting on some running boards. And then there was one other scratch there that she wanted messed with. See if they come through better. Yeah, it comes through better without the light. My process is I have a 2-gallon bucket with rinseless wash in there, and then an IK foamer with some rinseless in there. So I'm just going to foam it down real quick. The truck's pretty clean already, but just trying to keep any scratching down to absolute minimum. So I'm going to spray the rinseless on the areas that I'm going to polish, get it all cleaned up. I'll do a foam rinse and then wash with the rinseless with the wash mitt, and then dry it off, and then I can get into polishing. But just want to make sure the car is as clean as possible, doesn't have any dirt or debris on it still. This person keeps it pretty clean, but just wanted to make sure everything was absolutely devoid of any debris or anything that I could grind into the paint, just whipping into polishing. So that's kind of my process on a nicer, newer vehicle, to make sure I don't introduce any more scratching than we're trying to get rid of scratches, not make more. Now that the rinseless has gone on there and kind of foamed up, kind of breaking down some of the dirt and stuff that's on there, any little debris and bits, we're going to give it a vehicle a good rinse, get that rinseless foam off there and the dirt and debris that's been encapsulated by the little foam particles from the rinseless solution. And then we're going to get in there with the wash mitt, give it a nice rinseless wash, and go ahead and dry after we're all done, giving this thing a good thorough scrub, making sure everything's clean. That everything's clean, we're going to go ahead and dry off the vehicle so I can see where the scratches are and get this thing polished out, get any little marring and scratches that the customer had pointed out to us on the doors, and get the A-pillar all polished out as well, because there were some scratches along there, a few along that little upper roof rack that we're going to get. And then I like to use a waffle weave towel as a final dry. It does a lot better job getting every little bit of moisture off of it. I switched gears instead of go ahead and started polishing the scratches. I just wanted to work on the decals. The truck was kind of cold. There was no sun. It was cloudy and pretty chilly. It was in the low 40s, maybe 41, 42 degrees out, so the metal was real cold. Decided to use a hair dryer. I turned it up on high fan, and then low heat, and that was a pretty safe method of being able to get the decals off. Probably could have done high heat. I just would have had to have been careful on how close I got it to the paint, but having it on low heat and high blowing worked pretty good. It didn't take all that terribly long. A little better than using a heat gun, because the heat guns get pretty darn hot and you can bubble and peel the paint if you're not careful. You can use a rubber wheel, but it makes one heck of a mess. That's what I used the last time I removed decals, was a rubber wheel. It makes a really big mess, and if you don't keep it moving around or have it too high a speed, you can burn through the clear coat too. So I wanted to try the hair dryer method, and it worked good. I'll probably use that from now on, at least on newer decals that you have a hope of getting off. Show you what's left here. Just got some nice residue left over. The dryer method's been working pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and use it on the other side. Keep it on the same settings, low heat and high blower, and go ahead and just heat that area up, get it warm to the touch, so we can get that decal peeled off when the paint's real cold and everything. The decal obviously doesn't want to move off because it's cold as well, so just getting that surrounding area that we're going to be pulling the decal off, get it warmed up. It comes off easier, doesn't shred. So this one came off only in a few pieces because I kind of had a little bit better of a system down than the other side, so didn't take very long. And yeah, I liked using the hair dryer method. Let me know in the comments below what you guys like using to remove decals off vehicles. Now that we've got the decals off, we're going to use some professional strength adhesive remover. Go in there with a soft squeegee, and that pretty much takes it all off real nice and easy. Using microfiber cloth just kind of smears the adhesive around, so the soft squeegee does the best work, and it's not going to scrape up the vehicle or anything like that. And then after that, there's a little bit of an outline. So we're just going to go in there and do a light polish with a black foam pad, and that'll get rid of any little bit of residue, kind of make the paint match in there, and it'll be looking nice and clean, like the decals never existed on that thing. It's looking nice and shiny. Removing the adhesive and polishing, that's all the same on the other side of the truck bed, so I'd just skipped showing you the other process because it's the same deal. So we're going to go ahead and get into the A-pillar trim. Get the painted area, and get that all polished out. There are some scratches around the rack and a couple other little miscellaneous, so we're just going to go ahead and polish that out there, see how it comes out with the black foam pad, and we can always step up if we need to. But got the 3-inch polisher, and that gets into the kind of tighter areas a lot easier than a big polisher, especially with that rack kind of in the way. Let me know if you guys like using smaller polishers or if you use just one size for polishing a vehicle. Kind of curious your guys' methods. Let me know in the comments below. We got this upper pillar all polished out. It's looking scratch free, glossy again, and especially the area around the rack, no more scratches. It is looking great. And to save a little bit of time, I probably could have used my 5.5 or 6-inch DeWalt cordless polisher on the doors and gotten them polished out a little bit quicker. But the 3-inch polisher works pretty good around door handles and stuff like that. So I just stayed with this. I already had it out, and I didn't have to go looking for my polisher and grabbing it and priming the pad and everything. So I ended up just using the 3-inch polisher for buffing everything out, polishing everything out, and it worked pretty good. Went fairly quickly with the orange foam pad. Worked good at correcting and gave it a nice shine with the DIY gold standard polish. Taping off the Tacoma black satin kind of color, not really a matte, but it was more of a satin black. I didn't want to polish that because I didn't know how it was going to look or react to the polish, so I just taped it off just to be safe and went ahead and polished everything else. I know the gold standard's fine on like rubber seals and stuff like that, but with that kind of matte satin black paint. I didn't want to go ahead and polish it. Didn't need it at all, so just trying to get the scratches. So went ahead and taped that off and continued on with polishing the door out. Method when I'm polishing a vehicle is after every panel I go ahead and clean the pad out. I got a pad washer, so that makes pretty quick work. It takes less than 20 seconds to clean the pad out, and then I've got a fresh pad. It's able to cut real good. And then areas that I'm polishing, I use rinseless dampened towel to wipe the area that I've polished already, and then a plush microfiber towel to wipe any little remnants off and check to see how the paint got cut, if it's all polished out good, or if we need to make another pass on there. And that rinseless does a real good job of not marring the paint, keeping everything lubricated and wiping off that polish compound instead of just dry wiping it, which if you're scrubbing on it with a dry cloth you can scratch possibly. So I like using the rinseless stamping cloth. Let me know what you guys prefer. Both door pillar trim kind of had the same satin trim on there. It wasn't a piano black, so I didn't want to polish that at all, so I put some tape on that as well. But everything else was fine, so I just left it as is. I just didn't want to give any polish on that kind of satin black paint on there. That I've done most of the easier stuff, I wanted to get the running boards out of the way. And these are the Red Rock OEM running boards. They're real close to the OEM Toyota ones, but they're a bit cheaper. And there's just three brackets on there. One's a bit longer, goes in the front, and then the other two are in the middle and the back. And then you've got two 13mm bolts that bolt onto the bracket to the frame of the truck, and then you've got some 10mm nuts that you got to take off from the side steps that you lay down on the brackets and just bolt it to the truck. And it's supposed to be fairly straightforward. The instructions didn't say what side the side steps went on or anything, or what side the brackets went, so it was a little bit of a guessing game. There's one longer bracket that goes in the front. Using these bolts, these fixed points here. Instructions say to install those brackets onto the frame of the vehicle. Well, it's more of the unibody part of the frame of the vehicle. It's not the actual truck frame, but more like the cab. But anyway, it says to install those brackets on there, and then you set the side step down on there. I followed the directions on there, and you'll kind of see how things work out for me. Thankfully, all you need is a 13mm 6-point socket, and then a 10mm socket for the nuts, and that's really all you need. For the 10mm, I'd use a 1/4-inch drive with maybe a 3-inch extension, and then the 13mm socket, the one that bolts onto the truck, I'd use a 3/8 drive ratchet with a 6-inch extension, just so you have clearance with the bracket, the way the things are shaped and everything. That would be the best method that I would. Let me show you here. So there's those plugs that come out, and then this is orientated like that. Get this other bolt through here, and kind of hard to hold it and do it at the same time. Anyway. You're wondering, yes, it does matter which side steps go where. There's a different contour and edge on each side of the running boards, plus the stud locations for the middle two studs and nuts are in different spots, so it will not work. You can't just interchange one step for another. One clearly fits the other side, but they aren't labeled like passenger or driver side, so you just gonna have to check to see how things line up, and then go from there. You do have to also pull off the 10mm nuts and washers off of there, and then you can install the side steps onto those brackets, or that's where the directions said. But I wasn't having any luck installing it that way, so I had to go do it in an alternate method, which I'll show a little later in the video. Looks like there's a little bit of minor shipping damage here. Some little scuffs. You can't really see it, So I don't think it's going to be an issue. Hopefully the damage was isolated to the bottom of the running board, and nothing of that part that was damaged was visible from the top, so went ahead and installed the running boards. Fortunately, I wasn't having any luck placing the running boards onto those brackets. I tried to loosen the bolts up to give myself a little more wiggle room to kind of slide the studs on there, but it kept wanting to hit on the lower rocker panel, and so I was getting kind of frustrated. I wasn't sure what was going on, but I wasn't having any luck doing it with the brackets on the truck installed. So I ended up taking off the brackets, putting them on the running board, and then installing it that way. It was not too bad doing it that way, but that's not how the directions say to do it, so not sure what was going on there, but I wasn't having any luck doing it the way that they said to do it, so I did it a different way, and that worked just fine for me. All three brackets to reinstall onto the frame with the running boards on there already. I ended up putting the middle bracket installed to the truck, and then from there I kind of had a balance point and was able to install the front and the back brackets with the 13mm bolts on there, and that kind of worked best for me. Then I wasn't kind of juggling the balance of the running boards and afraid to bang up the truck with the brackets or not having things in the right spot, so that's what worked good for me. The shot with the side running boards on there. I just got to go through and do a kind of a final tighten with the 1/4" drive and the 10mm nuts on there, and then just going through and making sure everything is tight as I dare get it on there. Those stud inserts, I wasn't sure if it was a plastic or a metal on there, so I didn't want to go crazy with the torque, especially being 10mm, so I just put it on there as tight as I dared with the 1/4" drive, and that should be fine. And then the 13mm ones that go to the truck cab, I just zapped them on there with my 20-volt DeWalt. I'm sure anything 50 to 70 foot-pounds would be more than enough to keep those suckers on there. I knew exactly how to tackle the other side. It made doing the driver's side all way easier, so I just got everything prepped. Got the 10mm nuts and washers off of there, got the 13mm for the brackets bolting to the truck cab positioned on there, and got everything set up to make it as easy and seamless as possible on the other side, now that I am done kind of struggling figuring out what works. So that made doing the driver's side a breeze, and was able to zip everything on there in a pretty good, timely manner. Marked the scratch and rock chip areas with little spots of blue paint or blue tape, just to make sure that I didn't forget about or miss anything. And there was 3 main ones on the hood. The customer had filled in with the touch-up kit, and they really blobbed it on there and built up way too much paint, so it was really noticeable. So at first I tried sanding it down with some 2000 grit. And I know that's a bit conservative, but these newer Toyotas don't have a whole lot of clear coat on there, so I didn't want to be buzzing a bunch of stuff down, and I was just trying to isolate it to the rock chip area. I didn't hold a lot of confidence that I was going to knock it down real good without getting into the clear coat as well surrounding the rock chip. So I ended up switching over to a fiberglass pen. I'll kind of show you here in a little bit. And that worked really good, just isolating and knocking down that rock chip paint buildup. I'll show you in a second. I'm gonna try this instead. Green, why the heck I'm wearing a mask. This is a fiberglass pen, and it uses little fiberglass particles to sand down or grind down whatever you're messing with, and so I didn't want to be breathing any of that stuff, and just wearing a mask to protect my lungs. I don't want to get fiberglass in there, and it's bad stuff for you. Then I knocked down the high spots of the rock chip touch-up that the customer did, and then polished the surrounding area. I still have to do a touch-up of paint, real light touch-up of the paint, but let me know what you guys think visibility-wise, how it looks compared to before I had touched it. I think it looks a lot better. It's a lot less noticeable. You can still see there's paint needed, but we can just barely dab it on there, and then it'll barely show up when you're looking at the hood. Instead of having big old blobs with the touch-up brush, it doesn't work good. So I still got those rock chips to do, but we got these scratches out on the door. It's looking pretty good. We got this whole thing polished as well. Upper A panel, this one. Got the side steps on finally. Those were a huge pain in the butt. Show you the other side. They're looking good though. And I got that little spot polished out. These are fitting nice and flush. They look good.